Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Noted podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Eric, and my other host, our other host, is Daniel.
What? My name is Daniel.
Oh. And this week we are going to be reviewing and talking notes and just hanging out and talking about a movie. So I'm excited for that.
What movie, Eric?
500 Days of Summer. Wow. Yeah, dude. This is a good one. I'm gonna let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick cast rundown.
Okay.
Just like big, not like big names, but like sort of notable people, right? Noted people. So we have the Joseph Gordon-Levitt dude. You know, he plays in like a bazillion movies that everybody loves. Then we have the Zooey Deschanel, also a beautiful human and everybody loves.
I loved her in New Girl. That's where I experienced her as an actress for the first time.
Right. That's same. Well, no, I think the first time I ever saw her, I saw her in Yes Man with Jim Carrey.
See, I watched that afterwards.
Big feels. And then there is Chloe Grace Moretz, English. She plays main character's little sister. She also plays in like a movie called Kick-Ass, and she plays in a bunch of other movies. I think she's hilarious.
She was really young in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know if it was her first movie. I don't think it was, but I'm pretty sure that it was one of her first movies. I would say at least probably within the first 6 or 7 of them. And then we also have the guy who is in Marvel. What's this dude who gets stabbed by Loki in the helicarrier?
Oh, Collins.
Yeah.
Agent Collins.
Yeah, he plays main character's boss. What was the main character's name again? Wasn't it Tom?
It was Tom. Tom Hansen.
Tom Hansen. Fucking Tom, dude. Okay, so are you okay if I do like a quick little synopsis rundown, and then we can jump into
segment 1?
Yeah, like what your notes were, what my notes were. I'll do a little synopsis, and then we'll start with your notes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm down for that.
Sweet. So I'm just gonna go off of memory. I'm not gonna really read anything about this, but this movie is about. It's not. So the movie starts out and kind of says it's not a love story. Lies. It is a love story. It's more of like a reality check for emotions, kind of. And 500 Days of Summer is about a man falling in love, falling out of love, and trying to understand relationship in general. And he falls in love with this girl named Summer. 500 Days of Summer. Ha 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 ha. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really all I can say for just like the most brief synopsis that I can possibly think of.
Yeah. And don't worry, we'll definitely break it down piece by piece from here on out.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys had watched our Good Will Hunting podcast, but if you have, it's gonna be very similar to that. We'll be going over the 2 same segments, and so whenever you're ready.
Yeah, dude, you get it, man.
So to start us off, we're gonna be going into Is It Notable? We're gonna, instead of really be debating, we'll more just be breaking down what we liked, what we didn't like, and if we think it's worth watching. So to start off, some of my notes.
Sorry.
What I like, kind of what we had mentioned earlier, the movie, I don't think it's so. It's hard to say it's not a love story because it definitely is like a love story, but I think it's a story of a relationship. I don't even know if I would say it's like a full love story, but it's definitely a reality check, like you were saying. Like to start off the film starts off with the main character saying that he learned what love was from TV shows, from movies, from music videos, and I related to that a lot. I bet you did too.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I feel like
media brainwashed me.
I mean, in the past, like, generations obviously have that, but I feel like our generation, millennials, Gen Z,
grew up in front of a screen.
Oh yeah, and into such a degree where it's like we've been told what love should be, and that love
Yeah.
is the end game for happiness.
Yeah, we have fantasized, like our generation has fantasized of falling in love.
Yes.
Probably daily.
And to an unhealthy amount, probably.
Yes.
And that's what this character's done. He is, to start off, Tom is extremely depressed, and is like super sad, and pretty much doesn't have anything to really live for. He went to school to be an architect, but works as a greeting card writer, which he isn't bad at. He's one of the better ones, but it's not his passion.
Yeah.
And then he meets Summer. She gets a job at his work. They meet.
May I interrupt really quick?
Yeah.
Just for a second. So, this movie time skips a lot.
Oh, I love that about
Okay,
this movie.
that's all I have to say. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, it time skips all the time, but pretty much.
It's like every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And,
at least that's what it felt like.
And it skips from different days throughout the 500 days of Summer and the 500 days of him knowing her. The first 500 days of him knowing her. And he then meets her, and his world is thrown upside down, and he is
love at first sight. Oh my god!
But it's so like, it's so real about the way he loves her, because the first like 30 days he goes from I'm absolutely in love to being like, I don't think it's over. It's over between us.
She looked at me weird. She looked at me weird. I didn't say hi.
I asked her how her weekend was, and she said it was good. That means she's fucking another dude.
Good.
And like his friends like slap him over the head, like, dude, you're like fucking neurotic. Like, just ask her out. Like, come on, you moron.
Yep.
And I say that because it showed this guy who didn't know how to be happy without a relationship. And that he needed love to make him happy. That was his life's purpose. Yeah. And by the end of the movie, he ends up making his own happiness.
Yeah, that is very true.
And that is something that I feel like I've had to learn a lot this past year myself. And I mean, I was always in and out of relationships for a long time and was uber depressed and would use relationships to fill the void that I was lacking, and to make myself feel better instead of just, loving me for me and learning to make myself happy. Yeah. And so I related to that a lot. And before we break, because we're going to have a lot of time to break down this. So before I jump into like my every idea and like thing I have, every note I have, because I could talk about this movie for an hour by myself.
Same. I mean, I practically did when I watched it.
The same. Me and my roommate E, we talked about it for about an hour while playing disc golf yesterday.
It's a good one.
And so one of my favorite things I noticed. So I had quick synopsis for everyone. The reason we chose this movie is because I had watched a video essay on it like a year and a half ago, and before I'd ever seen it. I'd never seen it before before we did this podcast this last week. But I watched a video essay on it on YouTube. It was like an hour long, and it was talking about it. I was like, oh, okay, cool, like why not? And I just saw two actors I liked, clicked it. And it talked how the main character, this whole movie was kind of through his lens.
Yes, sir.
And it broke down the movie like from like characters being villains and heroes. Yes. But it did not break down the cinematic artistic choices this movie takes, which is what
beautiful.
It was. It's what threw me off the most.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend you stop this podcast, watch it, and then come back.
And because there will be spoilers. That is our spoiler warning. 9 minutes in. Spoilers.
I mean, I feel like someone should know that this is...
but still.
Yeah. But
I feel like it's our duty to at least say that word once.
You're right. But I was so surprised by the shot composition, and like, so for example, and there's one scene in the movie after he has sex with her for the first time, he goes on a walk, and they have a legitimate musical in the middle of this, like musical scene in the middle of this movie. and it's hilarious because it's like it's how you feel when you have sex, or like you kiss someone, or you cuddle, like you hit a physical
You feel like you're on
landmark.
top of the world.
You do. And
Yeah.
like I've been there. I've done where like I went on a walk and I felt like it was my Broadway musical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt like it was such a good way to kind of not tell us but show us how he was
Yes.
feeling.
I think that most of this movie, it never explained verbally the situation of what they were feeling until the nitty-gritty started to happen towards the end.
Yeah.
It really made you have to empathize.
Yeah.
Almost like it showed empathy almost, like the way that the director directed it was showing you how emotions feel after you're away from the person that you love, kind of thing.
Yeah, or even while you're going through it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like it just throughout the whole movie, whether it was when they were together, when they weren't together, when he was describing her,
dude, that was my favorite. When they have the, like, when he loves her, and then towards the end when he's like, that
I hate her,
fucking freckle on her neck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, because in the film
I've been there so many times, dude.
Right. In the film he's describing why he loves her, and he's like, when she licks her lips before she speaks, oh, it's so cute. And then later in the film he's like, when she smacks her lips, fucking lips, and like he's like ranting, or like her adorable knees, he's like, her fucked up knees. Like he's like, everything you love,
her knees are too bumpy.
Yeah, and like everything he loved became everything he hated.
I think that is like, like, I don't know, like the saying, like, well, it's not really a saying. I feel like I've just heard this, like, from people that talk about like marriage and love and stuff like that. Like, you love all the things you hate, and you hate all the things you love, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like it was like, I've never seen a movie actually portray that before.
And they did.
Like, I had never seen a movie that was like, I'm desperately in love with this person, and these are all the reasons why I love them, like we were just explaining, and then absolutely just shitting on them. Like, I've never seen a movie do that before. Like,
not in such
visually.
a real manner.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like they do such a good job of showing you what he's feeling, because it's all from Tom's perspective. It's never from Summer's perspective. Nope. And showing you visually what he's feeling, and not telling you or having him tell someone else what he's feeling. Yeah. And until the very, very end, when the two characters sit down and we finally get her perspective, do they actually talk about it? Yeah. And like one of my favorite things they do in this film is they show a lot of like silent films and black and white, like short French films. Yeah. To like show his emotions. Like, and
he and her are actors in the movies that he's watching. Dude, it's fucking beautiful, dude.
It is. I think my favorite scene that they do, though, in the whole movie, when it comes to just pure, like, artistic take on how to show emotion, is, here, one sec. Yes? Is it important? Okay, I'm on my podcast, but fucking congratulations, dude. I'll talk to you afterwards, though.
Thanks, sorry for interrupting.
You're up. Everybody. Think you did, and I will talk to you in a bit. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
3, 2, 1. Ba-bam!
I'm keeping that.
Bam! But, yeah, so my favorite way that they showed emotion was when, they end up breaking up, and not seeing each other, and then they see each other again, at a wedding. They dance together, and then she invites him to a garden party she's having on the top of her building.
Yup. The expectation versus the reality.
Yes. And so the whole...
Dude, I white-knuckled that entire scene.
Bro, it gave me
I was
social anxiety
livid.
because I've been there, dude.
I was so pissed.
So many times have I been there. So the whole time he's walking up this staircase. He's walking up this staircase to see to her, and he has like his present in his hand, and it's expectations versus reality, and
it's like full screen.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
full
and then
screen
it
cut
cuts
in
down.
half.
Yeah, well, it goes full screen, and then when he starts like walking upstairs, it goes into like half screen to the left, and then it has like a little thing on the bottom that says expectations, and then the exact same shot comes up on the other side, and reality, and it's the exact same things that are happening, but not at all.
Just slightly different things.
Well, I wouldn't say
And-
slight. Well, it is slightly different, but it's also just like
Very
it's
different.
the way that he's perceiving it and the way that he wants it to happen, kind of. Like the expectation is totally fictitious. Like it's completely fake.
Oh yeah.
Like all of that is just in his head.
Well, and also like the expectations is 100% all in his head, all fake of what he expected to happen. He thought that they were
Yeah.
gonna have like a moment together, and that
Yeah.
she was taking him back, and they were gonna be all lovey dovey.
Yo.
But then also the reality of it was that was not what was happening. But also he wasn't trying to make himself have fun without.
Nope.
His reason to be there was not to enjoy a party, it was to get her back. And it was
Yeah.
obvious because
Well,
when
she
it wasn't
also-
going that way, he was in the corner drinking a beer all gloomy
Yeah.
moomy instead of talking to anyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, like
Yeah.
I understand why he was upset. He felt led
Yeah.
on. But also
yeah, he
like
was 100% led on.
but also he wasn't I feel like it just shows like
He
how
wasn't
you can-
proactive.
He wasn't
Yeah.
proactive in trying to better the situation for himself. Like he
Yeah.
played into his emotions.
I would also say that he was just in the lightest way, because what she did was very nice. Like she invited him to a party, like he could have met another girl there, but I will also say the man was a little he got played just a little bit. Like
A little.
I sympathize with the person who always gets their heart broken no matter what. I always sympathize with that person. And I always I won't say hate, because hate is a very strong word, but I always have to point out when someone gets played, because like he definitely only in that situation. I would say like everything before that, he was playing himself.
He was. Well,
He
and
was
she
totally
was straight
playing.
up with him.
Exactly.
She was straight up with him the whole movie.
Yes, the whole time she was very straightforward, and he was playing himself. But in that situation, he got played, 100%. And I think that was and after that point, the movie does flip, and he does get his life together, and it's really, really good. Well, sort of. He sort of kind of gets his life together.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it.
yeah.
Not at first. At first, it's
No,
worse.
Heck no.
At
Yeah, it
first,
gets
it's
worse.
so worse. And then he goes on a whole rant. I thought so. He blows up in front of his boss in the board meeting.
That was my favorite scene almost.
And when he does that, I thought he was gonna get fired, and I started getting so socially like secondhand embarrassment, so
Yeah.
bad. And then he's
Yeah.
like, "I should quit. I can't be here anymore." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes, go King, go! Yes,
Yeah.
King, pick up your crown, King." It made me
That's funny.
so happy to see him quit. And then he starts working on architecture.
Yeah.
There's one last thing I want to say, and then I'll let you say your bits.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned, and not learned, but like got from this movie, and I guess related to, because I had already learned this life lesson once, is no matter how much you love someone and how intense those feelings are, it doesn't mean they always feel the same. No matter how much you want it to be that way, no matter how badly you want it to be like a two-sided love, even though if they like you're in a relationship, it's not like you're like stalking someone, like you are together, you know?
Yeah.
It's just not always the same. And sometimes something that is so good just isn't meant to last.
Yeah.
And you can't force someone to love you. 'Cause she tried so hard. And that like, there were scenes where she's like crying, like when she cried at the movie, when it showed the bride and the groom.
That's a
Who-
really good movie reference, just so you know. You should watch that movie.
I have not seen the movie, but I'll check it out. But like, they're watching a movie, and the bride and the groom get married, and they both get really sad.
Yeah, they're sitting in the back of a car and they're like really happy, and they like turn to each other and they kiss and they're like, yeah. And then it's just like they both like slowly like look towards the camera, and it's kind of like the realization that like this is the person that I'm spending the rest of my life with, and I don't know if I can do that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And then Zoe's character starts crying.
Mm-hmm.
And breaks down over it, and he's like,
Yeah.
what's going on, and it's
And
because
then she says nothing. And
Yeah,
she
she
just
says
walks
nothing.
away.
She should have communicated
She should
it,
have, but she didn't. That was the one
She
thing that
didn't.
I hated the whole movie, is she was very straightforward in the most aloof way possible. Like, she never communicated like she communicated what she wanted, but she never let him know that, like, how do I put this without like making it sound like she's a villain, because she's not the villain at all. She just never, like, she didn't know what she wanted, and he knew what he wanted. And I think she knew that, and she was afraid to commit, and she also didn't want to break his heart.
Exactly. And I think she wanted,
And
I
she
think at
stayed
moments
around.
she did, and I think at moments she wanted to commit, because I
don't
think
think
that
she did.
I think, well, I think
at
that's
the
what that
beginning,
scene
but no.
I think that's what that scene shows, is I think that was leading up to that, like, because she had seemed unhappy in other scenes, like when they're in the record store, when he starts remembering all the bad moments. Like,
Well, no, she wasn't
and-
happy. She
No,
was
I
never
said
happy.
Well,
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't
I
hear
was
the
saying-
part. My bad.
Yeah, I said unhappy.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like, I think what that scene shows in the movie theater is like that's her coming to the realization
Yeah.
that this will never go further than this. That she
Yeah.
is not happy with. She can't give him what he wants, even though I think she wanted to at some point. I know she said no labels, and she didn't want anything serious, and I think she was okay with that, but also I think she knew what he wanted, and I think she truly cared for him a lot, and even if it wasn't like her want, in the back of her mind maybe wanted to see if that could be a possibility. And that movie theater was her understanding that it will never be a possibility,
Yeah, she also explains it at the very end of the movie, saying that, like, one day you can just wake up and everything can be different. Like, one day you can wake up and for some reason the person you didn't think you'd end up with is the person you want to end up with.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom, whatever his name is, I always mess it up, main character.
Yeah, Tom.
That just wasn't his role. Like, his role wasn't the husband for her life. His role for her life was... Tom was the beginning of understanding what love was, because at the beginning of the movie, she didn't get it. She didn't understand, like, love, I would say. I don't think she understood love, not one bit, at the beginning of the movie, because she goes into it and she explains it that her parents were like they divorced, and she just says that, like, love isn't real, and that she doesn't believe in it, and why not just be happy in the moment. And Tom disagrees. He says that he thinks that love is a very good thing, and that he wholeheartedly believes that it can always work out, right? And she's like exact opposite. She does not believe in it.
Which
And
is so
I think-
ironic, because at the end of the movie, they are flipped.
I would disagree. He still believes in it. He just learns how to not look at every female and probably fall in love.
Well,
I think that he learns to just do what makes him happy and by himself, and to not have other people make happiness for him. But like what I was saying is that, like,
you can.
she didn't believe in it, and through their relationship, I think that him going through all of that pain showed her like what love does to people, and then that's why like they broke up. And then I think that she found what Tom wanted in her in another person. Like one day she just woke up and she found someone that she loved and could spend the rest of her life with. But they just weren't that for each other.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when I said they flopped, I mean at the end of the movie, I don't think that's the case. I think like at the end of the movie,
I think on the bench, when they're on the bench,
yes,
yeah,
that's what I was
flipped,
referring
100%.
to, which is within the last 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
So I count that as the end of the movie. But
the end is the end, Daniel. He meets his
it's-
love at the end, kind of.
it's
he
not
meets someone who is as interested in him.
It's not the end scene of the movie, but it's the end 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
it's the end of their relationship.
Yeah.
Like that was the last. Like that was the 500th day, the 500th day of summer.
Yes.
And then she was gone. And I think that is like kind of what I said earlier, like before we started recording, was like 500 days is a year and a half, essentially, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And so much stuff can happen in a year and a half, as we've experienced through a pandemic. Like, so many things can happen emotionally, and sometimes I think our brain can disconnect what is rational thought and what is overwhelmed emotion. And I think with like what the world is going through right now in general, given that the world has kind of fucking gone topsy-turvy in the last like couple months, like I think it's really important for people to not because I'm learning how to do this right now. I'm not trying to, stand on a soapbox and tell people, regulate your emotions, be a critical thinker. Like, but I think movies, kind of like how Tom was raised, like he was raised in this like kind of fictitious world that like his emotions will lead him into love, and that like his emotions will do this and his emotions will do that for him. And like when he's an adult, and I'm also saying this, like I see a lot of myself in him. Like I'm in this right now. Like I don't feel like I'm as critically thinking about my life as I should be, because 500 days is only a year and a half. And a lot can happen in a year and a half. And when I was younger, dude, I never thought of like time. I don't feel like, I don't know if I'm the only one who did this, but like I felt pretty invincible for a while. I felt really untouchable for a while.
It wasn't until I was like an adult that I felt touchable.
Dude. It was not until the pandemic. Like for me, like pandemic hit and I was like, fuck. Oh no. I can be emotionally compromised now? No.
Dude, I definitely relate to that though, about like I feel
monologues.
Like he had to learn that love is not what's going to make him, it's not what's going to make him happy.
Nope.
That he has to make himself happy.
Can do. Yeah.
And I think also he believed so much at the end of the movie when I'm going to break down the end scene for the audience.
I like it.
So the end scene, he is sitting in a kind of like a waiting area to an interview for an architect job.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a very gorgeous lady sitting on the couch next to him. Yes. And they pretty much talk about, oh, you're interviewing for this job too.
You're the competition. I hope you fail.
Yeah, they make some cute jabs at each other. Nothing like they're obviously joking. Yeah. And then
it's like it's a competitive flirt.
Exactly. And he walks out of the room, and then the narrator says, Tom finally knew that love is not fate. And then I can't remember exactly the wording they say after that, but pretty much like that he has to like work at it.
Like take action.
Take action, yes, exactly. And that's when he turns around and asks her out for coffee.
Yep.
And then she says no, and then she changes her mind because she
Yeah.
actually had a date.
Yep.
So she just like she just ended
She's
up
like,
steady.
nah.
She
Yeah.
stood up her own date for Tom.
Yeah. She did what
Um,
Summer did to Tom.
Yeah, and so
Yeah. Imagine that, dude. And now he's
happy.
happy. And now
Five-
he's happy. And
and
now
his-
there's
and
another
his-
Tom out there.
and his
sulking.
story is 500 Days of Autumn because her name's Autumn. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
I fucking hated that. Just saying.
But-
saying. I hated that. I thought it was so
I
stupid.
thought it was cheeky. I thought it was cheeky as fuck.
hated it, dude, because I was like, oh, there should be a sequel called 3 Days of Autumn. 'Cause that's how fast it takes leaves to fall.
But
Cynicism.
But what I loved about it was that he pretty much, the end of the movie was Tom realizing that love is not a magical story tale fate that just happens and works, but
Yeah,
it's something that you have to want and you have to go after, and it's something you have to
Yeah.
put the effort forward and go it's not just gonna fall into your lap. And I think that's such a good life lesson for anyone to have, because I hear a lot of guys who are like
Us.
well, not just guys but girls too, but a lot of
I would
people
say humans like us.
yeah, a lot of humans.
I would just generalize to that
I
because
don't-
we are Tom.
I don't
At least
feel
I
this,
feel like I am.
I feel like I was at one point in time. I am like at the end part of the journey Tom went through. Let me put it that way. This last year and a
I
half,
feel-
I just went through my 500 days. Like
I'm
I
currently
technically
in my 500 days, Daniel. That's why
I-
I fucking hated this movie
Oh.
when I watched it.
I have not finished my 500 days because I have not found my autumn, but like I'm in like the final hour, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've been yeah. I don't even know where I am, but I'm there.
But what I was gonna say though is I feel like a lot of people think that if they're just like this, like the idea of, oh, if I'm just nice to her, if I'm just nice to them, and I'm a good
Yeah.
person, and I'm a good guy or a good person, that I deserve love. I'll just find love. That's just how
Yeah.
it works.
I'll win them over.
I am a good enough person that I deserve to fall in love, and I deserve this. And then
Yes.
they
narcissism.
but then you ask them like, and then they're like, but why haven't I found anyone? And it's like, well, like, what effort have you put to finding someone?
Exactly.
Like, have you put yourself out there? Like, have you gone on dating apps, or have you gone to like a singles mixing, or go to a bar and see someone, or not even just that, like, you don't have to necessarily
Have
physically
you
go-
socialized?
yeah, have you gone out of your way when you saw someone you were interested in, that you had like a good exchange with, like Tom did with that Autumn? Did you put yourself out there?
Yes. The leap of faith.
You can't expect things to happen to you if you don't put any effort forward to let it happen.
Facts.
And I love that this movie reiterated that, because that is a lesson I've had to really learn throughout my life.
Yeah.
A lot, especially because I was the type of person who things just happened to me.
I mean, being a
Like-
child, dude.
like-
That's what happens. Like I think the when you were saying like finding love, like you just don't find someone. I agree with you, but I think that only happens the older you get. I think the older you get, the harder it is to find someone, because there are a lot of people who like, oh yeah, we met in high school and we've been together for 47 years, because it was the situation of like, I don't know about you, but I've met a lot of like older couples who met really young and were just like, that was it, you know, like that's all I needed and that's all I wanted. And he has a friend in that movie that
Who's the
happened
same
to
way.
him. Yeah, like
Yep.
he met his wife in like, what'd he say, like 6th grade, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, she's not perfect, like my ideal girl has blonde hair, really big you know, like he goes into like a description, and then he says, but I love my wife, like I wouldn't change anything about her, kind of thing.
Well, he says this, which I think is super powerful. But at the end of the day, I choose my wife over my dream girl because
Exactly.
my wife is real.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that the older people get, they get a little more closed off because it's easier for them to look back at the people that they did love and say, like, that was easy. You know, like, hit the button. That was easy.
Mm-hmm.
And want something that is as easy as that. And I think the older you get, the more scared you get to put yourself out there, because if anybody's ever been through a breakup or have broken up with or has been broken up with, like, it's
rough as
really
fuck.
terrifying to, like, put yourself out there and say, like, am I willing to emotionally compromise myself for this person? Because that's what you're doing. That is what you have to do. I'm not saying that's what you have to do to have someone fall in love with you, but, like, you are going to emotionally compromise yourself because, like, you have to let them know that you love them. Like, it will be a grind, kind of. Like, you have to put in the work, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
And the older someone gets, terrifying.
I think
at least in my shoes, that is what I have experienced.
Okay. I think there's truth to that to a degree. I think the way I would perceive what you're trying to say, or the way I take it, is not necessarily, like, I do think, you know, the older you get, the harder your heart gets and the more guarded you get at times.
I wouldn't say hardened heart.
But
I wouldn't say that.
Guarded maybe, but what I was going to say is, I think the reason why you see a lot of, like, high school sweethearts isn't, I mean, not only are they just young and willing, but also, like, I think it's much easier to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend or find a relationship in general when you're young, because you're forced to be around other people your age all the time.
Exactly. You were saying with the sociability and, like, actually putting yourself out there. Like, you're required to go to school.
Yeah, and that's why it's so easy to find a relationship when you're a teenager, because you literally are around tons of people that are your age that you might find attractive all the time. But when you're an adult, hell, most of the people I work with aren't my age, and the ones that aren't really, like, it's few and far between. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you then have to find people that you would want to try to have a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
It gets harder. That are now you don't have school to rely on.
Nope.
And your work most likely will not be a good place to find that relationship.
Nope. Because as we know from the movie, having a work relationship can end horribly, because he met her through his work. She became secretary of the greeting cards place.
Yes,
and
that's how they met.
That's how he saw her, because, you know, like, office romance, like, he sat across from her and he could creepily stare at her while he plays the Smiths loudly and tries to win her over.
He's a more depressed Jim from The Office, to be 100%.
He's Jim and Ted.
Yeah.
Mixed together.
Oh, 100%. I think, hey, to throw back to last week's podcast, TV shows of love.
Yes, sir.
I think a quality that him and Ted shared is they tried to force love on, they tried to force their picture of love
description
on someone else. Because I don't think Summer or Robin didn't like Ted or Tom. Yeah. I think Summer and Robin loved what they had.
They just didn't want it.
They just didn't like...
Well, they didn't line up with it.
Let me put it this way. I think Summer was happy doing the fling, but then Tom tried to make it more than she wanted it to be. And the same thing with Robin was happy with Ted, but then at the end of the day, Ted wanted a picket fence and a family, and Robin wanted to travel the world as a top-end news reporter. They wanted different things.
Yeah.
And I think both characters tried to fit their, like you said, fit them into a picture of what their version of love was. Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
But, office romances. I want to say a real quick thing. So, you mentioned how office romances are a bad idea. I immediately thought of Jim and Pam from The Office, because I live, breathe, and eat The Office.
Oh, I know.
And then I was thinking, not even The Office says the Office romances are good. The person Jim dated before Pam, Karen, literally yelled at him in the office and then quit her job.
Yeah, they're horrible. Don't do it.
Like even Jim demonstrated why office romances are terrible. Literally every other person in the office that has an office romance, it goes terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Even
Dwight.
even Dwight, who marries Angela eventually, ends up having so many other big, like, if that was in real life, dude, they would all be fired.
Well, duh. I would have shut down that branch the minute I hired Michael. I would have inspected him for a week, and then I would have said, yeah, no, we're gonna shut down this branch. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have discussed, noted, would you recommend this movie? What would you rate it?
I would honestly.
Out of 5. Wait, do
out
you
of
want
5?
to do 5 or 10? No, we'll do 5. 5.
5.
You can do decimals.
I'd say like a 4.5 for. Actually, no, I'm gonna say 5 out of 5. I'm gonna say 5 out of 5.
Oh my god.
I think the acting was so good. Like, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I've never seen him be that good. Like, he is so good in this, and Zoe is so good in this. The supporting cast is really well done. We talked about how well, like, the director was so on point with this movie. Yes. It's just everything about it I loved. The soundtrack was good. The way it ended was good.
The soundtrack was phenomenal.
Exactly. I personally don't see any actual issues with the movie, and don't have, like, I only have like one thing I wish would have been different, but it's not even an issue, but more just a want. So I'd say 5 out of 5. What about you?
I'm a hater, so I never give anything 5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I will say like 4.7.
Yeah.
The only 5 out of 5 movie in my eyes is Patch Adams, but
okay.
Yeah. I will say though, everything about that movie is splendid. I think the only reason that I don't like it is the reason why I didn't like it was just because it made me too introspective. Like, this is like, okay, if I were to say
introspective movie. It's a very
strictly
introspective
just
movie.
me reviewing the movie,
yeah,
I would I have no issues with the movie, but the thing that I also account for when I'm done watching a movie is the way that it makes me feel after the movie, because I think movies impact us not for when we're just watching it, but the time after, like when we think about it and how we, like, you know, mull it over in our head. And this movie made me very, very excited to start to try and understand that I need to love myself before I love other people. And I thought that Tom was a very good person to live through, to understand that it's not always my fault, but it is, in a sense, always my fault, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like, the things that happen can always be, I don't know how to explain that. I'm just going to say what I said and not try to explain what I just said. Yeah. Anywho. And go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I
totally get that. I feel like I think that's awesome that you were able to get something so deep out of this movie like that.
Yeah. I like I said earlier, like, I've really been living through Tom's life, like, the last year and a half. Like, this movie was disgustingly accurate to my life. Like, when I say disgustingly, I mean disgustingly. Like, it was crudely accurate. And maybe I just am saying that because I read into too many things, so maybe I put myself in too many people's shoes, and I try not to fit my own. But, like,
no,
it really helped me understand that, like, love is not a movie. and love is not what the
yes.
media has told me, and love is not the Disney movies that I grew up on. We've talked about that. Like I know for a huge fact, dude, I have been love-wise brainwashed through
Oh yeah.
Disney. and
Oh yeah.
and this movie really put in perspective that like I need to not let myself be led by emotional decisions. I need to be a critical thinker.
I don't even think that you can't be led by emotions. Like, obviously never take critical thought out of it. You should always have critical thought.
Well, I'm saying
But I think that what this movie is a good teacher of is to not to understand that your emotions and the way someone makes you feel isn't the 100% the most important thing.
Oh no, and that's what I'm saying is that like
Yeah.
the emotions are the smokescreen.
Yeah.
Because how you talk to me and how I interpret is through the filter of my life.
Yeah.
So if you say something happy and funny, but I take it as a backhanded compliment,
Oh yeah.
I'm now pissed at you for no reason.
Oh,
Right?
100%. Like
And
how
that
Tom
is
was angry.
Exactly.
At
That is
her
strictly
for saying
just
she had
emotion.
a good weekend. Yeah.
Exactly. That is strictly just emotion. That is someone
Mhm.
overthinking and not like compartmentalizing correctly. I know I
Yeah.
said that word horribly broken up, but I knew what I meant. And
You sounded it out like phonics. Bam.
Thanks. And I have been going through a lot of stuff recently,
Yeah.
and most of my shit is just from me not understanding how to emotionally like delegate. And then I get overwhelmed, and then
I
my
can understand
overwhelmed
that.
is, and I'm not
Yes.
just saying like love wise, but mostly love wise. The description of put your heart on, like someone wearing their heart on their sleeve. I don't have my heart on my sleeve. I have my heart in my hand, and it's just beating. And anybody can stab it whenever they want, and it happens a lot. And
sorry to laugh at that. I'm not.
I mean, it's fine. And
I get it though.
Yeah, and this movie made me kind of like. This is gonna sound gross, but like, at least into my arm, not in my hand anymore.
Yeah.
So now I'm wearing my heart in my sleeve, not
Yeah.
on my hand.
Yeah.
So-
I want someone to make a animated picture of Eric holding his heart in his hand, please. I know you don't know what he looks like, but he's a 5'8" brunette with a beard and short hair. And think of like a skater boy meets photographer hipster, and that should help.
I also have a
Skinny.
middle part. My
Oh.
beard isn't long.
Yeah, it's a short beard. It's like
3 millimeters long precisely. I shave it every day with my razor.
Okay, RDJ.
I got you. I'm here. I'm here to give descriptions. I want a picture of myself.
Oh,
in pain.
I love it, dude. No, I think that's beautiful, and
Thanks.
I agree that so you mentioned how this movie made you feel, and I'd say after the movie happened, I felt so positive about that. The movie made me feel so positive, and I just cannot think of this movie without being happy. Even though there is
Nope.
many parts in this movie, dude, that made me sick to my stomach and like
Yeah.
made me start thinking about my own life decisions and the things I did in past relationships, and I just made me grab my head. But then also like
Sorry, go ahead.
what I loved about it was then he came to conclusions that I've been learning and things I'm
Yes.
still learning. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm not a finished product,
No.
but like
None of
it
us
was
are.
reassuring to see that this fictional picture of someone who probably was based off of someone's actual life.
Yes, the fictional character that is absolutely real.
Yeah, it's that he went through a lot of the similar things that I did, and also is learning to
through.
do the things that I'm learning to do.
Yep.
The movie ended where I'm not, but I'm getting close. I'm getting close.
You strive. Yeah.
And
yep.
And that's what motivated me so much. It wasn't that the movie didn't cause me a lot of emotional
pain.
It did, but also it gave me a lot of emotional joy.
Pain. Sorry.
Pain. You will know my pain.
Naruto reference.
I actually watched.
Will know pain.
I actually know. I actually watched that episode last night.
Oh, you were watching?
Sorry.
No.
I'm not rewatching. I'm just one second. Just one second. I'm not rewatching.
If we start talking about anime now, we're never getting back.
Okay, I'll talk to you after the pod.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I love movies that can make me feel that way.
Yeah.
That make me introspective, but then also bring me to a good place, because I feel like what the movie did good of representing is love isn't just happy. Love is pain, and love is so.
It's fight.
It's such a strong experience, and it's such an overpowering of emotions that especially I think most teenagers that have been in a serious relationship can relate to this. And I say teenagers, not saying that adults can't relate to this, but your first love in general, whether you're a teenager or an adult, your first love,
Cloud9,
is so
perfect.
Not just perfect, but intense.
Yeah.
It's intense with the good and the bad. The highs are so fucking high, and the lows are so fucking low. And Tom demonstrated that. Because we know Tom has been in other relationships before this movie started, but the way he reacted made you think that this was the first time he had felt that way.
Yeah.
You know?
He describes it kind of like that. That was the first time that he actually saw someone and didn't know and was instantly in love with them. That was his first love at first sight kind of thing.
Yeah, that was his first love. And so it just shows the intensity of first loves. And every other love after that, it's all intense. It is. But especially your first love, because you don't know how to you don't know what to do with it. You don't.
You just don't.
And you struggle bus it. You struggle bus it so hard trying to figure out how to handle it.
Yep.
And I loved that this movie showed that.
I agree. So I will say that we've slowly segmented kind of into notes versus notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know.
I know. When you said would you recommend this to someone, I was like, yeah. We're moving.
Yeah, we're moving. Dude, I will agree with. I'll give my final thought. I did leave this movie with courageous hopes that I can get my life together. It really helped me, and I have made small steps, because that's where it all starts.
Yes, dude. One step at a time.
And it really helped. But I am also a person that is very black and white, and I have to understand both sides, or else there's no balance, and then I feel incomplete. So I'm a very melancholy person. I am sad about the happy and happy about the sad, because if there's no balance, like I said, I feel right. And so this movie left me with courageous hopes that I can push through anything that happens to me. And it also made me understand that I have to feel the pain to want to move forward, not in a masochistic way, but there will be pain to progress. And through pain, not strictly through pain there is happiness, but there will always be heartbreak. There will always be
Yep.
sadness. There will always be down seasons. There will always be up seasons. Like, this movie was a really good representation of slice of life.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to step back and kind of third person my own life and say, like, where am I? How am I? And what am I? And just kind of like the whole like, I know I'm being really broad and I'm not like hitting any kind of target, but that's how this movie made me feel, is that it's just like life is so huge and so overwhelming, and like so much is going on all the time, and it's like, what can I do to make me happy and also still make other people happy, and find the people that I can make happy and help the people who aren't happy, and find love through those things, and hopefully through those decisions someone will decide to fall in love with me while I actively pursue to find someone.
Yeah, and I think something you said that I 100% agree in is the pushing through. I
It's
think
rough.
life is, like, people say life isn't easy, but it's true. Like,
Life is not easy.
There's days that you're gonna wake up and it's gonna
And
be,
just sleep for the rest of the day.
it's gonna be uber hard to push through. And there's gonna be days that it's like you don't get it, but it's easy as fuck and you're happy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And there's gonna be days in a relationship where you don't understand why you feel the way you do, and there's gonna be days that it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with life, with relationships, with yourself, it is a continuous fight. It's a continuous, not just fight, but a continuous.
It's a push. It's a continuous push.
It's a continuous push. It's a continuous effort.
Mm-hmm.
I think our generation is so used to instant gratification that we have not been taught, or at least this is for me.
No,
I
I
don't
don't.
wanna
I think this is a general. I agree with you.
Gen Z.
I
thing.
was not taught how to correctly cope. I
No.
was not taught that after school, after high school, like when I have to take care of myself, I didn't process or fathom or even comprehend the thought that I would not get breaks.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I feel like instant gratification has made our generation so... We're so goal-oriented because we've been told we can do whatever the fuck we want, but we don't know how to
And
reach
do
those
nothing
goals.
at all.
Yes, because we don't know how to reach those goals because we've never had to work for shit.
Yeah, and all the people who want to help us also say, yeah, but you need so many years of experience, or you need to have a college degree that isn't going to be helpful here, and just like unnecessary qualifications that make us feel good when we get them, but also hate ourselves that we have to get it because now we're in lifelong debt.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that no one in this generation works hard, because
No.
I'm a hard worker, and like I've had to do a lot of things. I've had to work a lot at a young age, and it has not been easy. But also, I'm the first person to say that I will, instead of spending 4 hours a day working on my goals to get on Survivor, I will just watch Netflix instead because it's easy and I feel good in the moment.
Yes.
Or instead of saving my money so I have a ton of money saved up by the end of the year, I buy food because it makes me happy in the moment.
Magic cards, Daniel. Don't lie to yourself.
I was gonna say it, but I didn't want to say it. Man.
That's why I said it.
My magic card collection's gonna make me money eventually, okay, dude?
And I am happy for you.
Eventually, or I'm never gonna sell it. Daniel Elliott Allshouse II is gonna inherit my magic card collection.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm not having a junior, I'm having the second. And then he'll have the third.
Yes.
And he'll have the fourth.
Yeah.
I always wanted Roman numerals. My child will have Roman numerals in his name.
They will love it.
Or she. I'm progressive. I can have a child named the same thing. Let's try to finish up notes versus notes. What would you change if there was anything you would want to change? Is there anything you would want to change about this?
I wouldn't change anything. I like when I said like earlier when I gave it like the 4.7, like in my mind, like 4.7 is a 5. It's a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just don't want to say 5 out of 5 because no. I don't like giving. Yeah, I can't. And like I wouldn't change anything about it. I think that this movie is in and of itself, it's perfect movie. I don't think that I could ever watch. Okay. I'll relate this movie to another movie that I think one day we should cover. It's very, very similar. It's called Elizabethtown. I've kind of talked about it before.
Yeah.
It's same storyline ish. But like when I was watching 500 Days of Summer, like I was trying to like also find similarities in 500 Days of Summer that are in Elizabethtown, and I couldn't. Like, yeah, it's a movie about love, guy, blah, 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 can't find love, and blah, 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 and then finds love, blah, 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 kind of thing. And that's kind of what 500 Days of Summer sums up to, but the way that it gets there is so unique and so, like I was saying earlier, like sympathetic and empathetic and also introspective. And like it really makes
it's
you
raw.
It really makes you understand that like this is how people feel.
These how you do it.
Yeah, these are emotions that humans go through when things happen. Not saying that these are emotions that everybody go through, but like everybody has gone through the emotions in some extent.
Some capacity.
Some capacity. All of these emotions, all of the emotions have been felt, and it's just the best way. I think it's the best movie that has described emotions, in my opinion. I think it's a fantastic
Elizabethtown or
no,
500 Days of Summer.
500 Days of Summer.
Okay.
Like the reason why I compared it to Elizabethtown was just because that was the closest movie that I could compare it to. And I like to compare movies when I'm watching movies, simply just because I like to see if movies just go like this. Oh, hey, I really liked that movie. I'm going to cookie cutter it and change actors. And I thought that's what this movie was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be one of those movies like, oh, I've already seen this, just in a different telling. And I was surprised. So,
yeah,
I wouldn't change anything about it.
I would agree that the movie definitely shows not just emotions, because a lot of movies show emotions, but real emotions. That's like something we said about Good Will Hunting was how true and raw the movie was to its characters and to the reality of the human experience. And I feel like this movie was the same way.
I agree.
And in the way that like it was so dramatized through showing us his emotions, that's how emotions on the inside feel. It's not actually that way in reality, but that's how you feel in the inside. That's how you feel in your mind.
I agree. I also disagree because I wear my emotions in my hand.
When
so
I
like
say
my
in
emotions,
reality, I mean like you're not.
No, I get you.
You're not like I mean,
yeah.
I was gonna say you're not actually dancing in the street singing, but I literally just did that today. So,
yeah, dude.
I was dancing in the rain and singing as my coworker stared at me like 40 feet behind me, and I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, gotta live life to how you find happiness.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't change anything either, though.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I say 5. I don't give 5 out of 5s easily. I'm a very critical person, and I think 5 out of 5s, like 100%, should be the most. It has to be flawless in my mind. Like you can't just hand those out like nothing, or then it doesn't mean anything. Like Hall of Fame nominations in the NFL don't mean that much anymore. It just means you had a really good. That means you had a really, really good career, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you are the
best,
the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
It just means you were the best of a group.
Yeah. It just means that you're accomplished.
Yeah, and so like. Giving a 5 out of 5 is high praise, and I even started to say 4.5 or 4.7 because I didn't want to give it 5 out of 5, but then I started to try to find a reason to not give it 5, and I couldn't think of one.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of a reason not to give it 5 out of 5, and I wouldn't change a single thing. Like maybe
I
the
wouldn't either.
only thing I would add, and it's only because like it's the same thing I said about Good Will Hunting. Just because I want to see what happens next. Like I would have loved if they gave us like
you wanted 500 Days of Autumn.
I wanted a montage of 500 Days of Autumn, okay? I wanted like a 2-minute or a minute montage of the first like of them going from like day 1 to day 30 to day 100 to day 300 to day 1000
And then they have a baby.
3000. Like yeah, I wanted a quick montage.
Day 3000.
Like
Marvel watcher.
Dude, like I want I didn't mean that on purpose.
No, I know.
But,
I just caught it.
I wanted them to do like a quick montage at the end with that, but that's only because like I don't want things to end. And
Exactly.
I love relationships, and I love to see happy relationships, and I wanted more. But
See,
in reality,
that's what How I Met Your Mother taught me, Dan. Is that you don't get more. You get what you get.
yeah. And to be honest, I even though I want that, the movie doesn't need that.
Nope, it
It's
does not.
so perfect the way it is.
Yep. I think the reason why I like the ending is because it is mystery. Because you know he's not going to treat her the same, and you know that he's grown,
Yeah.
and you know that he's not the same Tom as the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
And I like to think like I think the reason why I like the ending to be ambiguous is because it's like, okay, well, now it's your turn as a viewer. Like the movie's now saying, how would you as a Tom go about this new relationship? You know, like you've lived through Tom's life and you've seen his mistakes, you've seen his wrongdoings, and now you have Autumn, you have a new season in your life, and like you as the viewer now say, oh, I want more, and you get to decide in your life what more is, right?
Yeah.
And you get to live through that, and you get to tell the next movie through yourself, and it's really cool. That's why I like ambiguous endings, is because you get to live for that character after the character is gone.
I get that.
That's why I like The Magician so much.
You kind of I need to finish that.
No. I'm talking about the end of season 4.
Okay. I can get that. Yeah. Rest in peace, Quentin.
Yes, sir. Rest in peace, Quentin Coldwater.
But I think that something you kind of already mentioned, like what you expected the movie to be when you sat down and watched it. I'll just briefly go over that too. Because I had already watched a video essay on it. The video essay was talking about why Tom is the villain of the story, or why is he the villain, or is he the hero? You know,
why do people hate Teds?
And it was more like villain hero. Like it showed like a screenshot of like Tom being the hero, and then hero ? And then Summer villain ? And
I get you.
And then it broke down why Tom was in the wrong a lot of the movie, but also what Summer did that wasn't necessarily perfect as well.
Yeah, I don't think either of them were in the wrong, and I don't think either of them were in the right.
I think they both did things that I think they both did things that were wrong. I think they both did things that were right.
Yeah, but like
that's just being humans, though.
Yeah,
you're never not gonna make a good or a bad decision. You're gonna make wrong decisions. You're gonna make bad decisions.
And that's why I hate when people are labeled through villain or hero, because like in that moment they don't understand. Just like in that moment, you're not gonna understand. I'm not gonna understand. Anybody is not gonna understand the situation that is in their hand until it is past, right? And of course, you and I as a viewer can say, yeah, this person was an absolute like thick-skulled like Neanderthal because they didn't think about the other person. Yeah, it's because they were trying to make themselves happy in the wrong way. They weren't emotionally mature. They weren't like they didn't understand. Yeah. And I find it, dude, I get so heated when like I understand that like a character like Ted isn't real, and I understand that a character like Tom isn't real, and that we watch their lives play out, and I think that it is wrong to say that they do everything wrong and that they're manipulative and rude.
Yeah,
and
no,
cruel,
I agree.
Like And I know you do, but I'm saying like in general, like I don't understand how people can label them as evil or bad people when they just don't know how to understand what it is. And I'm not saying that like that is the consensus of like How I Met Your Mother. Like I know a lot of people don't hate Ted, and I know a lot of people don't hate Tom, but like people will say in those situations like, oh yeah, like you've said it a million times. My older sister, she hates Ted, dude, and I can understand why, but like it's so hard to label. It's essentially just labeling someone.
Yeah,
like,
they're not. No one's
as
ever
bad.
fully a hero. No one's
No.
ever fully a villain. I mean,
unless you're doing absolutely horrible shit. But yeah, sorry for my tangent. I always get
I know, buddy. It's how I ruined that show for you for like 4 months.
Yeah, that's okay though.
But so what that video talked about was how was misguided, and how he really how he wanted something a lot and she couldn't give it to him and she didn't want to, and she had told him that, but he kept putting it.
Exactly.
He kept pushing for it, and the video specifically was defending Summer because a lot of people saw Summer as a villain. And the video was saying that the movie's all from Tom's perspective. So we're seeing it from his perspective. So those scenes where it looks like she's
happy,
evil, or she's the villain are from his perspective. So we're not even getting the clear and concise version of it. And that they and so it broke that down, and then it talked about how Tom had to learn what he wanted, and like to love himself more, before he could love someone else. And then it talked about how then like it talked about Autumn and all that. And so going into this movie, like I had a brief idea, but not a ton. Like it'd been a while since I watched it, so I remembered it briefly. And so I kind of went into it being like, oh yeah, we're gonna get like another like misguided Ted love figure,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not gonna like, I'm 100% gonna relate to this dude, but also slightly hate him the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I went into it and I was kind of right, but also like there was so much more depth to the movie. And what I didn't expect from this movie was the artistic beauty.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be so fucking beautiful to watch.
Yeah. And it's a really really good watch. I really advise people to watch this movie. It's really really good. Well, that was this week's Noted podcast. We will probably be doing more movies if you guys want more movies. I would love to do more movies.
We're always willing to talk about movies.
Facts. I love them. They mean so much to me, and I learn so much from them. So if you have a recommendation of a movie we should watch and talk about and review and introspectively live through characters, we will. Yeah, dude, do you have anything you want to plug us and the media man?
So you can find us at The Noted Podcast. That's on Spotify, YouTube, and on Twitter. The Noted Podcast. Our handle on Twitter is A Noted Podcast. On there, I will be posting tweets throughout the week about the upcoming episode. I will be posting episode links there as well to the YouTube and Spotify.
You should also tell them where they can watch it.
Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube.
No, I mean like the movies and stuff.
Oh,
so, like,
yes.
So yes, like what streaming service?
Oh, that's super smart. I'll start doing that in the future. You can watch this on Hulu though. So, if you don't own it or you don't pirate, not saying you should pirate, but I'm just saying if you don't pirate, you can find it on Hulu.
He said, "Here's my login and my password." No.
No, I only do that to the homies. Not saying you're not my homies, but don't love you guys that much. If 1,000 people all logged into my Hulu, I wouldn't be able to watch my Hulu.
Facts. I mean, nobody
acting like we have 1,000 viewers. But no.
I mean, hey, one day.
One day. You can watch it on Hulu though. So I'll be also, so we're gonna start doing the exact amount a month yet. We don't know, but we're gonna start doing a lot more videos similar to this where we watch a movie going into the week. We're gonna try to pick movies we haven't seen, or at least a movie that only one of us has seen.
Yep.
Sometimes
or just movies you guys recommend.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes there'll be movies that we've already watched because we know they're great, but
And
we're
we
gonna
just want
start
to talk about them.
exactly. But we're gonna start doing podcasts that are breaking down movies and TV shows in more depth, similar to this. And so if you go to the Twitter, you'll be able to see the movie of the week coming up. It will be posted there. And you can send recommendations there as well. Leave comments in the YouTube. Please like and subscribe and share.
Yes,
I know
sir.
literally everyone says that, but it's true. It will help the algorithm a lot, and trust us, we need help.
Facts.
And
Desperate cry. Help me.
Desperate cry. We are now on Instagram, by the way. We don't have any posts, but you can please go over there and give us a follow. It's The Noted Podcast on Instagram as well. So I think that's a bit it for the plugs. You got anything else, or are we good to go?
Are there any capitals in our name on Instagram?
No, it's just The Noted Podcast.
Do you have a picture for it?
Yeah, it says The Noted Podcast in quotations.
Oh, well, that's the wrong one then. I'm trying to find it.
No, if you go to here, one sec, let me pull this shit
Send
up.
me it, because I'm not subscribed. I'm
You're
not
not
following our own shit yet.
Dude, I literally just made it this today. Well, okay, you might not. I can't find it right now either, so it will be there. the Twitter exists. The Instagram will be up by the time you guys hear this. Yeah.
It shall be here.
It's okay. I know that the handle is Noted Podcast Inc.
He said plugged the wrong thing.
Yeah, I plugged the wrong thing.
Hey, guess what?
I forgot.
Guess what? First follower.
Woo! I forgot the Noted Podcast was taken. So it's Noted Podcast Inc. on Instagram. So please give us a follow. We would love it and really appreciate it. So you guys have a fantastic day.
Yes, sir. This has been Noted.
Noted!